let's get right into what the heck is Breakout with Kim. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Breakout with Kim. Hey, so I'm super excited that you decided to join me for another episode. I don't know about you guys, but I've been enjoying these video series. I think that the best thing about this, like stepping out on this adventure, is just being able to kind of have you guys be sort of like my personal diary, so to speak. And the reason why I say that is because, like I mentioned before, Breakout with Kim is really an opportunity for us to have real conversations, raw conversations. A lot of the topics that I deal with and touch on are things that, not a lot, all of them are definitely topics that I have dealt with or I'm dealing with. And what makes it different from anything else out there, especially in social media world, is that when we go through things, a lot of times we seek comfort in people and different things that's out there. And most of the things that we find are from people who have sort of like arrived. So they've had the situation, they've dealt with it, they've been, whatever, and they found some sort of success in that space already. And so they're over it. And so they speak to you from a place of like arrival. As for me in this video series, a lot of the topics that we talk about, I'm actually healing and processing through myself as we talk. Or I just kind of got over it, or it's an ongoing journey that I will forever have to process through. And so you don't get this like, I've arrived, this is what you do. Though I do seek to add value by telling you and sharing with you what I'm currently doing or what I have done to help me get through the process or the topic that we're dealing with. It's never from a place of like, I'm an expert in this, but more from a place of like, hey, this is what's helped me, this is what's saving me right now, and I want to share with you in hopes that it saves you. So with that being said, I don't know about y'all, but in 2022, let me tell you what your girl is not doing, okay? I am not settling. And I said what I said. Unapologetically. And when I say that, it kind of makes me cringe just a little bit, because when you say you're done settling, it unlocks so many different emotions. And the reason why it unlocks a lot of different emotions is because it triggers a lot of people, because it affects a lot of people. When you make the decision that you're done settling and you begin to raise the bar and raise the standards on what you expect to get from your life and out of your life and from the people and things around it, things and people can do one or two things. They can level up or they can fall off. But very rarely do things stay the same once you've made a decision to stop settling. And that has been the hardest thing for me during this season, is to make a decision that I'm not settling and then watch the effects of that, because it affects other people. It's just hard. It's hard to not feel guilty for choosing myself, but that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm choosing myself. It doesn't mean that the people, it doesn't mean that the situations or the jobs are bad. It simply means that I am saying that I want more. For years, I have always been a people pleaser. I'm pretty sure many of y'all know what that means, but for some of y'all that don't know what that means, that just means I've always been a person that desires to make other people feel good. I've always been a person to always want to make sure that other people are okay. Are you okay in not just your situation, but are you okay with what I'm doing? Are you okay and pleased with who I am as a person? And I would always sort of like become a chameleon in order to be good and be great for other people. And that is draining, you guys. It's so tiring to always try and do and be on for other people, and to watch people treat you a certain way and not say anything because you don't want to ruffle any feathers. And I just decided that I'm not doing that anymore. Like it's exhausting, and then it's draining to me, and then I'm upset, I'm resentful, and then I'm being fake, and I just don't want to do it anymore. And so I've settled for years. I've settled in jobs and my career. I've settled in friendships. I've settled in my relationships. I've just settled. I've settled in a lot of things. And when it comes to like, I felt the shift kind of happening last year with just not settling in like relationships and friendships. And then the shifting even with my jobs. Like, for example, when I first started off in the entertainment industry, if it was a job and they offered it, I took it. I didn't ask no questions. It's just, hey, I was working, all is well. And so I took it. And then I started noticing that I was working really hard, a lot of hours invested. I was exhausted, and I wasn't even making half the amount of money that a lot of the people around me were making. And I was like, why am I allowing myself to do this? Because I just want a job? And I just made the decision, like, I'm not doing that no more. I'm not settling. So when a job calls me and offers it, I want to know what's the compensation, what's the pay, the rate, like what are you paying me? How long is the job? And like, what are the requirements? Like, I want to know all of it. So then I can make a decision for myself on if this is something that fits me in my life, and if this is something that I desire to say yes to, right? I'm not saying yes to anything just because you're offering it. And so many times in my life, I have taken things just simply because it was what people was offering, and I am not doing that anymore. And so when jobs would call me and they would say whatever, and they would say, oh, well, the budget is only this. Oh, okay, well, I'm unavailable. And I would turn down jobs. And I found myself in the middle of a pandemic, y'all. I was turning down jobs. And I found myself like wanting to like throw up sometimes, because it's like, who are you to turn down a job? Like, you're still new to this. Like, you don't get to turn down jobs. Like, you need to, these are things that I'm telling myself. People aren't even telling me this. I'm telling this to myself. Who do you think you are, right? And I had to just tell myself, like, I'm exactly who I said I am. If it's not to my standard, I do not want to be a part of it. And so I would turn down jobs. And the scariest thing about setting a standard and sticking to it is when you set a standard and that's the standard, and you begin to turn down things that don't match the standard or don't meet the requirement, there is no guarantee that there's something better on the other side. Like, you just may have said no to the only offer. Those are thoughts that are in your mind, right? But I had to make the conscious decision to say that if I say no to something, surely there's something better on the other side. I just have to have the faith to believe. The reality is that there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that another job is going to call me. There's no guarantee that I'm going to find better friends. There's no guarantee, right? But I made the decision and I stuck with it. Like, it is what it is. So I'm no longer in my circles and around people and friends, and I'm like, you're not giving what I need, I'm not giving you what you need, but we're just gonna stay friends because we've been friends forever. Like, we're not doing that. It's okay to let things and people go and situations go, and it does not make them bad, it doesn't make you bad. It's just simply saying that you don't fit in my life anymore, and that is okay. So enough of me talking about all that. You know that I always like to leave you with some tangible things. For me in this journey of not settling, especially because it's still very fresh and new to me, there is things that I've had to be super intentional about doing. And so I wanted to share some of those things with you today. One of those things being that I stopped rationalizing people's behaviors. Like I stopped rationalizing and being okay with other people's poor decision making, poor behaviors around me and about me. Like, I'm no longer saying it's okay, or oh, but they're a good person. Sure, that's fine. You could be all those things, but it's still not okay with me. I'm still not going for it, right? So I stopped rationalizing other people's BS. Another thing is like I had to first identify the areas in which I was settling in. So I needed to see, like, in my life, where are some areas that I'm not my most fulfilled, or I'm not the happiest. And happiness is a feeling, y'all. It comes and it goes. So I don't base my life off of feelings of happiness, but I do like to be intentional about feeling when I can sense that I'm always not feeling my greatest, right? So what areas in my life am I always kind of shaky in my emotions? And so I had to look at those things, and I had to say, I'm not happy in this area. This area is not up to my standards. This area is not whatever it is. And though it was to my standard maybe 5-10 years ago, it's not anymore, right? And I had to be okay with making the decision that, yeah, you could have said yes to it then, but the woman that you are now doesn't agree with it, and it's okay to let it go, right? So I had to identify those areas and be okay with reevaluating whether or not I wanted to settle in those areas. Another thing I did was I had non-negotiables. So I'm starting to like write down things that are just a no for me. Like, it's just a no. It's just a no. Like with jobs, I don't take any job that pays me lower than a certain amount. I just don't. It's a non-negotiable. You either find a budget or you find someone else. In my friendships, non-negotiables. Relationships, non-negotiables. There's just non-negotiables, right? So practice creating a list of non-negotiables. It's going to feel extremely uncomfortable, you guys, to start off with. I remember feeling so uncomfortable the first time I told someone, I typically don't make lower than this a week. I did. And they were like, oh, that's a little bit out of our budget. Okay, well, that's what it is. Guess what? They called me back and said, well, are you okay if we can get you at that? I'll take it. You get me at that rate, I'll take the job, right? So have non-negotiables, because guess what? Those non-negotiables, and telling people what your non-negotiables are, people can do one or two things. They can adjust or they can leave, right? They'll find someone else. The other thing I did was I'm practicing like self-love. And that sounds so cliche, especially in the times that we're in, with self-care and self-love, which I'm all for. But I had to practice literally looking at myself and saying, you deserve more. You are worth more. You give all of you, so surely you are not asking a lot for people to do the same. Like, I had to just tell myself that. I deserve it. I deserve it. And by me saying I deserve it was telling myself that I love you enough to tell you what you deserve. So if it's anything less than that, smash it. Like, it's a no, right? So I had to love myself enough to say I deserve more. The other thing I did was I expected more. So deserving more, expecting more, I started to speak more. So even in my finances, I found myself sort of settling at this amount and saying like, well, I don't want to seem like I'm worshiping money. I don't want to seem like I'm not happy with what God gave me. And that like fake humble stuff, it's gone in 2022. Like, I deserve to make the amount of money in which my creative brain produces. I deserve to make money in my sleep. Like, those are things that I had to start telling myself. I expect more. I expect more. Why do I expect more? Because I put out, so I expect to receive, right? So I'm constantly telling myself, like, I expect more. It's okay to want more. It's okay to desire more, all right? And then the last thing I do, I write down what I want. I write down what I want in jobs. I write down what I want in my relationship. I write down what I want in my friendships. I write down what I want as a mother. I write down what I want. So then that way, when I write it down and make it plain, I know how to then like measure. to see if things are and people are measuring up to what I said I wanted. And those things may change, and I always can go back and shift it. I can say, well, I thought I wanted this, it's not. Like, you can make adjustments, but it's always important that I at least write it down. I write it down, I make it plain, this is what I want, and then I can make the decision to work towards that. People can make the decisions to work towards that. The things that I need to adjust and do, they will do accordingly. But it's written down, right? It's written down so I can see it. Well, that's all I got for you today. I just wanted to really make sure that in the midst of us breaking out this year, we understand that that is attached to not settling. There is no way you can have your breakout year and do all these amazing things if you're still settling. If your mind is still settling and saying that you're okay with certain things that you're really not, then you're not going to do it. You need to make that shift, and you need to make it today. Is it going to be easy? Hell no. Are there going to be moments in which you wish, God, that was a tongue twister, that you didn't make this move? Sure. Because it's always going to seem easier to just settle. Like, that's why most people in life are where they are, because we simply decided to settle. But I want you to make the decision with me that we're not settling this year. We deserve more, we are worth more, and we're getting more of everything we deserve. And in doing so, we are not settling. We're raising the bar and we're raising our standards. And it is what it is. We said what we said. All right, y'all. I'll catch you on the next episode of Breakout with Kim.